Just say the word.
It's recording. You're good to go, probably.
Yep, you are good to go.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending. This is going to be our presentation on our Husker concussion rehab project for the Cave Lab. So my name is Ben, and Nick is going to be presenting with me, and actually he's going to start off the presentation.
So the company we were working with, or the group, was the Cave Lab, or the Concussion and Vestibular Evaluation Lab. It is here at UNL, offering clinical vestibular and balance services for Nebraska's student athletes and the athletic department. Their goal is to help student athletes recover from sports concussions, minimize symptoms, and aid in that rehabilitation process. So then we can go over some of our sponsors and stakeholders. So first, our main point of contact and the director of the Cave Lab, we have Dr. Amanda Rodriguez. We worked with her on a week-to-week basis, was our main point of contact. Some other stakeholders in the group were Dr. Kate Higgins, a sport neuropsychologist, Dr. Lonnie Albers, a UNL team physician and associate athletic director, Dr. Christopher Bach, director of the Nebraska Athletic Performance Lab, and last but not least, Manuel Vicente, who is a research assistant with the Cave Lab and was another one of our week-to-week points of contact. And then there's our team. So our squad lead and product manager was Garrett Roth, presenting with me today, and our development manager, Ben Galusha. And then as it goes for developers, there's Julie Asbury, Logan Helbush, myself, Nick Verlick, and Paul Odell. And then I'd also like to mention our tribe lead, Jeff Falkenberg, and our project manager, Melanie Kugler-Wright. So then we'll just jump right into the problem that we were presented with and the solution that we came to propose. So the problem stems from a couple things, but mainly it is common for student athletes to not receive rehabilitative care due to either limited access or other problems. And when this care is accessible, it may not be tailored to the dynamic needs of a student athlete, such as an athlete being handed a piece of paper with a bunch of exercises listed on it. It's not really up to date with how things work today. So our proposed solution was an application suite that would allow clinicians to prescribe customized treatment plans to each individual student athlete. And then the student athletes could then perform these exercises on the mobile device of their choice, so Android, iOS. And then the clinic, the Cave Lab, could then log these results over time and use the data for research purposes and to improve those treatments. So this solution came in three parts. First, the mobile app. This was meant to provide a digital replacement for those paper rehab exercises that were being given to student athletes. And part of that was that it was also meant to facilitate the completion of those exercises that were prescribed. So this includes having things like a video demonstration, having a timer, a metronome built into the app, things that instead of the athlete trying to bounce a bunch of things, it's all just there in one app. And then finally, the mobile app also tracks that exercise data. On the other hand, there's a web app, which is used by the Cave Lab and the clinicians there within to manage student athletes and their treatment plans, and then view the student athletes' exercise data. And then finally, there's a backend service that kind of wraps it all up. So now I'll kind of go into just some quick screenshots of our mobile solution. This is kind of going over the main process of the app, which is our kind of workout. So there in that first screenshot on the left, we have just a playlist of different exercises, the names of the exercises, descriptions, button hit start exercise, which then leads us into our second screenshot there. This is kind of that main thing. So we see an exercise. We can see how it's prescribed, the duration they're supposed to do it for, a BPM of the metronome, what posture they're supposed to be in. They can then see a video if the description is not enough. There's a timer that they can start and stop, reset. If they like mess up the exercise at the beginning, they can reset it, start over. They go for as long as they can or until duration is reached. And then they can hit all done, tell the app how they're feeling afterwards, and then move on to screenshot number 3, which is just back to that playlist. We show the athlete their progress. They completed that eye muscle strength exercise. Then they can go on and pick another exercise to start. And then finally, at the end of the process, once they've completed either all the exercises or as many as they could, depending on how they were feeling or how much time they had, they hit that session all done button. They're asked one more time how they're feeling. We had that little pop-up there in that fourth screenshot, trying to keep it simple, green smiley face, yellow kind of meh face, and a red frowny face. This kind of pop-up occurs throughout the entire process of the workout. So right when they start it, we ask them how they're feeling after each exercise, and then right here at the end. And then I'll pass it off to Ben to kind of go over our web solution and some of the other stuff.
All right, thank you. So for our web solution, we mostly focused on kind of the administrative side of things. So as you'll see, like in the left screenshot here, we can add new student athletes to the system. Like one important component of this is it's not like a regular web app where users just sign themselves up. They have to be added by an administrator. So we definitely need that functionality. You can also search for athletes by various different fields, things like their name, their dominant foot, whatever sport they're in, that kind of thing. We can also do, like we mentioned before, the real thing is we want to be able to prescribe these different treatment regimen based on how the athlete, or based on who the athlete is and what their needs are specifically. So that's the big focus of this. And then on the right side here, we can view sort of that history, that log of all of the exercises that a particular athlete has done. We can see when they logged in and how they're feeling after each exercise. So that's the sort of thing that the clinician could pull up when they come into the office next time and see, oh yeah, I can see that you said you weren't feeling very good after doing this exercise or something like that. The web solution is not quite as far along as the web app. We kind of ran out of time while we were working on it, so it's still kind of in its early phases, but it's going to be important for when we actually do deploy the app. And finally, the backend service is, of course, what really ties everything together. So it's responsible for data access to and from the database, but it's especially responsible for securing that kind of private health information. So I think that's a technical term. I think that refers to just about any personal information about any personal health information about a student. So even things like their weight and their height, things like that. So we have to make sure that we're storing that data securely and that we're not just letting anybody access it. So we've done our best to try and implement things like best practice password storage, and we enforce role-based access control. And so I think we've done a decent job of trying to secure all that information. The other interesting thing about the service, so we've hosted it on AWS, and because we've written the backend service, it's a Node service. It's written in a framework called Nest.js. And because the front end, the web app, and the mobile app are both written using React Native, we were actually able to write the entire service, all three parts of this project, in the same programming language. And so that really helped us to improve our productivity, I think. And then finally, we'll go over the value and highlights of this project. So number one was team building. I really enjoyed working with our team. I think everybody would echo the same sentiment. We did some team building activities occasionally. We'd go play games and things like that. So just kind of getting that remote team building experience and kind of working through how to be on a team remotely was definitely an experience that I think most of us hadn't really had before. We also got a lot of experience sort of managing sponsor expectations. So kind of like I mentioned with the web app, it's not totally complete. And really no piece of this project is entirely finished yet. And so kind of keeping, I think it was a valuable experience to communicate to the sponsor sort of in the scope of the long-term idea, what all the features we want this software to have, what are we going to be able to get done in 1 year of senior design, and sort of making sure that the sponsor understood that from an early time. Also on the technical side of things, I mean, this project was pretty much the definition of a full stack app. We have everything from the database up through the web service to the front end, mobile app, web app. So we got to touch all kinds of different tools and technologies. Even though we were using the same programming language, it was still a very diverse development experience. And so that was definitely valuable for us as engineers. And finally, sponsor relations. We got plenty of experience interacting with our sponsors. We met with them on a weekly basis. We got to go tour the Cave Lab itself at one point. And really, I think I can speak for everybody on our team to say that we truly had a very good experience with our sponsor. So I would really like to thank Amanda and Manuel especially for all of the work that they put in to helping us realize this project to the point that it is. I think Nick would be able to say the same thing.
Yeah, we just want to say thank you very much to Amanda and the Cave Lab. Thank you to all of you for coming by to see our presentation, and we'll have a virtual table if you're interested.